So you're a few years into a life sentence. How have things changed for you over your time in prison?
I don't know, it's different now, I suppose, because obviously, like I said before, like to get through, I kind of shut myself off from the future, but moving here now, it feels like a progression. It feels like, okay, like things are moving now. But in some ways, it's still harder.
In what way?
Like, I suppose it gives you a little bit of hope, innit?
At the beginning, when you first come in, do you know what I mean? You're in jail for something serious. Like at first I thought I didn't care, like, fuck it, whatever, blah blah blah. You don't get on, chip on my shoulder thinking I'm fucking hard as fuck, right? You know what I mean? And then when you're in the cell, alone, and you're crying, and I'm thinking, I'm going to be in it for a long time, and I'm never, ever going to get out.
Do you ever reflect on your offence?
Yeah, you know what? I've committed a crime. A terrible one. And I'm not saying I've done my time and that's that, because it don't work like that.
The first early part of the sentence, I had to completely disconnect from what I'd done. I couldn't cope. I felt self-harmed, using drugs was disruptive and destructive in my behaviour. Because I was drenched in guilt and shame.
That was the worst time of my life. I lost my head completely. It's like someone come into my cell and just turned the switch off in my head and walked back out.
And you sat there thinking, well, I'm 22, I'll be nearly 50 when I get out, won't have kids, probably won't be getting married, my family, all that, my brothers will have children that will be adults by the time I get out of here. All of that races through your mind all day and all night. And it's like a switch is broken and you can't turn it off. You go through a bit of a grieving process. You grieve for everything that's happened, but you also grieve for everything that you've lost, that will never be.
How does that feel?
I don't know.
I just don't know how to describe it really.
It's kind of like unfathomable. I don't know how I'm gonna do it. Like, sometimes it just feels like it's never ending. It feels like I've been in a lifetime. I've still got a lifetime to go.
You've always got a sense of guilt. 21 and a half years.
Someone should always have a tiny bit of hope. Whatever.
Job, grandkids, maybe. You know, I've taken all that away from her and her family and her friends.
Our work is essentially about the lived experience of very long-term imprisonment from a young age. We were particularly interested in young men and women who were aged 25 and under when they got sentenced to 15 years or more life imprisonment.
The study is really a sociological analysis of what it's like to serve a very long sentence. So the problems that long-term prisoners experience, the ways in which they try to mitigate those problems, and also the kind of world that they try to construct for themselves while serving years and years inside prisons.
We found that people that we interviewed struggled to come to terms with the conviction, they struggled to come to terms with the sentence. We found that often people tried to ameliorate that or defend against the psychological pains of their situation, often with alcohol, with drugs, through sleep, through fighting.
So much of what we learnt about people serving long sentences is that they are struggling with this kind of acute emotional reaction to the things that have happened and that they need support through those things.
It feels really important to us to communicate that quite a lot of what is going on for people serving these long sentences, and the thing that they're probably thinking about when their head hits the pillow at the end of the day, is the victim or the victim's family.
The research has been received really well. Senior practitioners have read the book and have been talking to us about our research and have made changes to the way that the estate is organised. We're involved in conferences, we take part in seminars, we have academic papers that we write, and we've been involved in a few creative outputs.
Okay, shot 13, take one.
The thing that brought me to the project was a desire to help communicate knowledge through making a film together.
I think it's really, really easy in research to drift away from the human quality of individuals. Individuals get very quickly reduced to numbers and statistics, and it's so crucial that we remember that this cohort is a group of people with diverse and distinct life stories. Without those narratives, we can't begin to do justice to understanding or even quantifying how their situation affects them.
Working with George really pushed us to think differently about what were the aspects of our research that we think really need to be out there, where it really could make a difference to the ways in which people kind of think about people convicted of murder.
What we really want to do is give people proper insight into the inner lives of people serving very long life sentences.
We want to make sure that the lives of the men and women that we spoke to are authentically represented in the output, so we use lots of quotes. We want to use the audio as much as we can, and we want to make sure that when they read the research or when they see the outputs, that it speaks to them, that it makes sense to them, that we have done justice to their experiences.